Hey, welcome to GLC. Well, this is gonna be a hard topic actually, and it might not be for all people. And it's not an easy topic, but I want you to consider the facts and things I am going to talk about. But it's not an easy one, and might be hard on the heart or on the mind. But keep in consideration what I'm going to talk about. It includes wars, politics, illusions, social trickery, and all kinds of bad scenarios that's going on with us. So I'm actually trying to take your pink glasses off. So don't romanticize anything that you're facing right now, because this is a very bad time. Not only 2020, but it's been starting from around 9/11 and even before. And yes, I'm also going to talk about 9/11 and things that happened all over the coming years to the point of now actually. So I'm going to discuss a lot of things. So let me start with the human conditioning and how you are being formed by society. Human conditioning. Well, what do I have to tell about that? Well, at first we have a lot of wars to fight. It's not just the inner war with ourselves, it's also an external war. But actually this war has to be fought with love. But I see the world degrading at a very fast rate at the moment. So I'm trying to make this video as a kind of a wake-up call. So it's I'm wondering, and maybe you guys also see it, but it's not a good thing, and we as followers of Jesus, are we in the end times? Are we at Tribulation right now? It's 2020, 2021. We just entered 2021, and things in the world are starting to be horrible, really horrible. Well, let me also tell you about some comparisons that I'm going to do about. I'm going to talk about a little bit about what Hinduism is also saying. But please take in consideration what I'm going to say and don't judge before the comparisons of what I'm going to say. First of all, we are fighting a war with Satan. We all do. And things are actually becoming clear, and you don't even have to be Christian for it, but a lot of non-Christian people are actually waking up of what's going on in the world at the moment. I noticed that a lot of them are not Christian, but they see the patterns, what is going on in the world. So actually you and I are being formed by society. We hear things, we see things that is absorbed in our subconscious mind. We get traditions and teachings and whatever from various kind of religions, not only religions, but anything out in the world. Positive, I mean, which is negative and positive. So keep in mind that a lot of things happening right now and the times we are in is actually very, very, very bad time. We are in certain kind of wars, a lot of them actually. Some of them are human conditioned and some are different, like the inner war of emotions or the war on reality. What is reality these days? Because of all these things we get formed by society, sometimes it's so hard to find the truth. So that's what I meant with a war of reality. Well, you and I, as followers of Yeshua, we know a certain kind of reality, which I believe is truth. But in some other kind of religions, there is also some considerations of reality. I'm not saying it's good or wrong from them, but they have a certain perspective that I'm also going to talk about, like I just mentioned. So there's also something like external war of the body. That means think of something, be angry, make it physical, start fighting. And there's a lot of civil wars, and there's a lot of wars in countries, nuclear even. But I'm going to tell as well later about the nuclear thing. Well, there's also a filthy thing like companies and businesses, those are also in war because they are in competition, and the pharmaceutical war. All the companies are competition to each other, and not only that, but keep in mind about the virus that's going on right now. Vaccines are being made. Actually, I think these vaccines at the moment are very, very tricky. Normally it takes 4, 5, maybe even 7 years to validate a vaccine. What happened here? We're a year farther, and there's already a vaccine and people get vaccinated. Started in December 2020 and January 2021. Some countries may even be later. Think of Palestine, for example. At the moment they will be lost when it comes to the Middle East. I think they are still human, and it's not fair to even put them last. They're still human, you know. Even though we might not have the same religion, we are still human. In the Bible it says love your neighbor, so that's actually what we have to do here. And that's one of the most difficult things we have to face. But there's this human conditioning we have that makes us vulnerable to many outside sources. We are made of water, and we pick up vibrations consciously and unconsciously. We can look at pictures, we can watch TV. Okay, I'm going to talk about the TV again, films, etc, etc, etc. But it is a kind of manipulation you get, and that's just it. because of a certain film or series, we kind of get difficulties to get a grasp on reality. Therefore, we have the Bible. We can find in there what we need to distinguish what is reality and what we need to be blessed in our lives. Because there's so much war, inner war. We have emotional wars. We have wars with our bodies, perhaps. Think of them. Think of disease. Disease is, as it says, dis-ease. It's something your body isn't. It's not easy for your body anymore. And that is a problem for your body. So you are in a thought war, and in an emotional war. Because in certain emotional states, you can grow or you cannot grow. If you didn't know about this, yes, this is true. And we have external wars, external war of the bodies. Because we may hate people, we may dislike people, we may turn against people, but is that what God's made it for? No, it's all the sins we commit as a human. But yes, we are human, and Yeshua took it all upon him. But still, there's so many thousands and millions of people around on the world that do not have discipline to stop themselves from harming others, physically or mental. This is just a very, very hard thing. Because what in reality is one of the biggest issues sometimes, I think. And it's not, sometimes things are not about being right or wrong when it comes to an argument. It's the things in between to see the truth eventually. There's also business war, company wars. It's just companies against each other that are in competition. But sometimes I feel they go over dead bodies, literally. Think about pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical wars. They help us, but they also kind of make us have wars with the elements of the earth, with viruses and bacterials. I believe that viruses can be manipulated. And yes, we're going back to the virus again. COVID. It's a topic that's coming a lot in this video. Because it is also part of manipulations, cover-ups, etc., etc. Like I said, companies and businesses are in competition with each other, but don't forget the banks. Banks also have a big role to play in all the shit that's going on in the world. What's going on with the virus actually? Well, from the start, I've been very criticizing some countries, especially Netherlands, to be honest, and actually Sweden as well. When there was this outbreak of the virus, they did not do anything about it. They just let it go. And they were spreading all false information to the nations. Like, oh, it's just like a flu, flu. And some said actually, some conspiracy theorists, not everyone, but some particular group actually said it doesn't exist, it's fake, or whatever. At some point it is fake, I believe, but not in the fact that it doesn't exist. Actually, I think to understand a virus, you have to think like a virus. So, what does that mean? Well, there was this guy in the Netherlands called Van Dissel. He was actually, he's working for EDVM, and that's kind of like a Dutch health, something with health. I don't know how to explain it for a moment, but they take control of the country, so to say, when it comes to health. He gave people false accusations about the virus. Like, it's just like a flu, it's just like a flu. But it's not. And people started to underestimate this virus. Because I think this virus, it's a special virus. Okay, it is. And it is in the category of corona. That means that it's touching the lungs. You have SARS, we've had that, we have MERS, and we have one other, I believe, and now we have COVID-19. Well, if you believe it or not, COVID-19 is coming from a bat eaten by a Chinese person. I've been thinking about this a lot, and the Bible says, "Do not question my authority, His authority, God." What I'm about to say is about corona. Well, yes, God is good, but God built us in a fragile way. We are just mere humans, and we cannot defy death or getting sick. Think about this. It doesn't matter if a virus is let out. I mean, if it's made by human hands, or altered by human hands, or if it's from nature, coming from a bat in this case. Because this sequence of coronaviruses, this is the last one, of course, the last new one, so to say, but it's getting mutations and mutations and mutations. Well, there is this strand, this English strand, and it has been going to the Netherlands. It was found in Japan, in Spain, and there's also this South African strand. It's been said to me that the South African one is pretty heavy actually, but this English one, it's easier to spread, but doesn't say it's heavier or whatever, you know? Because I'm saying, actually, I've never heard this on Dutch television or English television about any virus. I'm not a biologist, I'm not a professor, but I'm just thinking around. I am a believer, you know? I believe in Yeshua and the Lord. That's all we need. And think about it. We as Christians or Messianic Jews are actually questioning even his authority. Because what do we think as a human? We think, okay, it can mutate, but it cannot get worse. Wrong. This is what I meant by do not question his authority, because yes, viruses can mutate, but scientifically it never said it cannot get worse or can get worse. Because I think personally viruses can get worse, and that's the problem about all of this. They can become heavier and they can become lighter. And we've been fighting for almost a year now, all over the world. And there's also this new strand from Brazil. It's also found in Japan. Think about that. Yes, we question his authority, which is wrong. Keep that in mind, because it's said in the Bible, do not question my authority. And what happens to people that question his authority? It gets worse. It happened a couple of times in the Bible, and things got worse because they questioned his authority. His authority can mean anything because God is limitless. And yes, God can do anything, but we as mere humans are limited. We are made in His image, okay, that might be true, but we can be harmed. God cannot. You know? Just think about it. We can be harmed, we can get sick, we can get wounded, we can die. Okay, I'm not talking about death, but it is a probability that you die, of course. And taking consideration that pest, the Black Plague, was in Europe only, for 12 years long. And I believe that non-believers and believers question his authority at the moment. Because many people think this virus, this corona, COVID-19, is a false flag. In a certain way it might have been, or might be, but the virus is still a virus. It's not a hoax that is there, because the virus is there. It doesn't matter if it's man-made or coming from a bat. That's not the important thing here. So just be careful about your health. Think about this. We question the authorities of our governments as well. Are they against us? they're not against us. 2020 and 2021, there is a lot of confusion in many ways. There are many types of wars going on. Mentally, emotionally, war in different countries, world wars, and there is civil wars. And to be honest, I'm feeling 2021 at the 6th of January might be a trigger for a lot of conspiracy theorists, or maybe Yeshua followers or Jesus followers, if you want to call him Jesus, I don't mind. But believe in our authority of God. He is still above us all. Think about that, please. But keep in mind, we are also in an era of a lot of various kinds of illusions and trickery and manipulation. It is all told in the Bible, in Revelations. But it is not only told in the Bible. There's many religions. It is told in Islam, Judaism, even, yes, I'm going to make a reference to religion, Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma. There, they call this era the Kali Yuga, or Kali Yuga, which also contains massive lying, massive deceit, massive illusions, anything that is very bad. It is called the Kali Yuga, or Kali Yuga. You can find it on the internet if you're interested. I'm just making a short reference to this thing. But Kali Yuga also has a different kind of time span than the Bible is considered to the Bible. The Kali Yuga might be even longer than the Bible might say. But take a note in this difference. But think of it, and do you question his authority or not? Do you? Well, also these days, these years, these decennia, or maybe even longer, if you consider some of the progress of humankind, we have entered an era of a lot of technology, which also could create a lot of different kind of illusions. Well, yes, I'm talking about illusions and more kind of things. We have come to an age where people are kind of addicted to illusions. They love to see illusions. There are various kinds of illusions that we, in our human conditioning, have to face. That we have to fight every day, every hour, perhaps every second. That there's so much illusions around us, from television to media, social media, different kind of other things. For example, let's take magic, and I'm talking about illusionists in this case. Illusionists make you think that something is happening, but it's an illusion, and then do it very quick that your eyes don't catch the clue. And people seem to love it. There's a lot of illusions and manipulations going around. And I think lately there's been a lot of illusions going on, and it's going on and on and on since COVID-19 came to power. Because if you believe if it's set loose, or like I was saying, it's a mutating virus, or coming officially from a bat. The story says it's coming from a bat. But you might keep this in mind. About every 100 years, a certain kind of virus is going to be released. It's been about 100 years ago that there was another virus. Spanish flu, for example, and swine flu was there, bird flu, and the plague, the Black Plague. It was there for 12 years. It could also be set loose, but back then I kind of doubted it, because nowadays we have lots of technology to manipulate DNA, RNA, and whatever kind of things that is actually fitting to all this, to this age. Like I said, in this age we're all addicted to illusions, and we tend to believe the religious leaders. But not all of the religious leaders are what they seem to be. They are tricking you. I think some things they do are done on purpose. And not all of it, of course, but a lot of things. For example, let me tell you about democracy. There was this thing called democracy. It used to be real, but last decade or maybe longer, it's democracy is not really existing anymore, in my opinion. So there's a lot of democracy cover-ups, as I would say, because what happens in democracy? People vote, but for example, what happens here is most of the votes go to a certain party, but what does the parliament do? The parliament choose the opposite. So what is the thing for voting then? Where is democracy? Democracy is being hidden now, and it's coming more to the surface that it's not a democracy anymore, and people kind of start seeing that democracy is not as it is. I would always say democracy, because democracy is not really existing anymore. It's more like becoming a dictatorship. Mark my words, because we have many years, or some time at least, coming ahead, that things are coming more to light, that we are becoming to be oppressed. Let me come back to what happened to in Netherlands some years ago. There's this guy called Geert Wilders, and people say he's a right wing. Okay, maybe he is, maybe he's not. But I'm not saying you have to be right wing or left wing, because I think both parties have at least something wrong. Something wrong. Because what happened many years ago, I think it's 2016, there was this referendum in the Netherlands about Ukraine. That was probably one of the last referendums that was existing in Netherlands. Also, it seems to be that 2016 was also the year that some voting paper was found in the dump. Guess who it was? It was voting paper for Geert Wilders. There's something not right about this, in my opinion. It looks like some kind of cover-up, you know? Probably done by the politicians themselves, or the counting, where they do the counting. It doesn't feel alright, you know? There's a lot of weird shit going on in the Netherlands, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. I'm not living in the Netherlands anymore, but I follow the news of the Netherlands, and I see still things happening that are just not right. 2016 was also the year of the Netherlands that referendums were taken away by the government. So think of it. It's not democracy anymore. Mark my words. Any country will have more and more of this kind of things going on. It really will. England, this 2021, also started doing this kind of stuff. They also try to oppress the people more and more. So, for most governments, the virus is a good outcome for them. Because I personally believe they are going towards something that we as followers of Yeshua really don't like. And in Revelation it has been said that there will be tribulation, and that Christians or any believer in the Lord Jesus will be persecuted. But it is not only the Christians, and not only the Messianic people, and not only the Jewish people. What happened many years ago in China. Actually, sometimes I think that China is actually kind of been like a testing ground for anything that happens in the world, you know? Sometimes I kind of have the feeling China and America might work together sometimes in certain ways. I'm not sure about what exactly, but there are a few things I would like to tell you for you to have in consideration that might be. I'm not saying it is the truth, not complete truth at least, but it has truth in it. Because there was a time about Mao Zedong, when he was at power in China. He met with the Tibetan Buddhist spiritual leader and emperor of the Tibetan plateau, the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama, he was actually invited to Mao Zedong, and they had conversations. It was friendly at first in the beginning, and later they started suppressing the Tibetan people. Very, very bad. So eventually lots of them fled to Bhutan and fled to India. Most of them are actually in India right now, just like the Dalai Lama. He lives there right now as well. But the Chinese, not did they only persecute the Tibetans or the Buddhists over there, they also persecuted the Christians over there, and they even persecute Muslims over there. For example, taking considerations in Xinjiang or East Turkestan, the Uyghur people, they prefer to call it East Turkestan, so I'm going to name it East Turkestan for them. And they are still being persecuted by the Chinese government, which is the majority of the Chinese government is from the Han tribe. The Han, those are actually the people that actually right now are actually also taking over the economy of the Western world. They are skyrocketing right now. They might even surpass American dollars and whatever. I have a feeling they can become really rich. They have invested in many soils in Africa. They sell a lot worldwide. Like for example, take the company Wish or Alibaba or AliExpress. So they eventually kind of will take over the world economically, and they also still have suppressed the Manchuria. Manchuria was a part of was actually in China, but the Han people took it over as well, and they are taking over everything. They infiltrated Tibetan lands and whatever. So yes, even the Chinese are prosecuting any kind of religion these days. And it started all with Mao Zedong. I'm sometimes actually wondering what we are becoming as the West. Are we Americanizing? Or are we Chinesizing? Or something like that? Because democracy is kind of dying. Democracy is not as it is anymore, and it's becoming a dictatorship. And mark my words, China credit system, it goes with points, etc, etc. If you've done something good, you get extra points, or if you've done something bad will happen to you, and you don't have certain access when you have the bad points. compare it right now to the people in the world taking vaccines or not taking the vaccines. Because right now, when people are not taking the vaccines, it's kind of like having the credit system in use. Because if you have not taken the vaccine, you cannot go to a club anymore, or you cannot enter to a festival anymore, or you cannot at a municipality hall anymore, or anything else with the government. They just block you everywhere. So that means they are taking your rights away. They're taking your rights, all of them. But not only am I talking about testing ground from China, or Americanizing, or Chineseizing, because there are multiple places in the world where they are also making chips for under the skin. Okay, I'm Dutch. I don't have it, but there are some places where they have it. Actually, I'm from Rotterdam itself, and there is this tattoo shop in Rotterdam that actually implanted some of the chips where they can just swipe something, they pay something, they can track you, and you can pay here, you can pay there, you can open doors with it, you have access to anything. But do we want this? What are we becoming if we implant something that's artificial in us? What are we becoming? So this chipping, what happened here? Like I said, it happened in Rotterdam. But one of these other countries is also Sweden. And Sweden is also becoming popular, and I believe these chips are also pretty popular in the USA. And countries I probably don't even know about where it even is. I mean, where people are being chipped, you know. It's like becoming a science fiction film. Do you want to live in a science fiction film? Do we want science fiction to be true? Well, we are in an era where science fiction becomes fiction. So keep in mind that music and films, yes, even films, have something prophetic to say in what is to come. Maybe it's not even prophetic what is to come, because you are being programmed to get used to the idea of what's going to happen. For example, have a good look at the film Terminator with all the computers. It has a self-learning sequence in it. It will build and build and build and build and build and build machines. Eventually, in I think it is the last episode of all the films, there are some human enhanced kind of machines. They're half machine, half human. So that's kind of also kind of technology where I think, okay, we want and we can lengthen our lives perhaps, but this also has its creepy sides, you know, because where we build to become something else, something non-human? I don't believe so. I think we were born the way we are. We were born with a reason. The Lord made it like this, you know? Why would the Lord want us to become something we are not? For example, think about organ donors. Okay, organ donor is okay. You give your organ to another person. That is still human. But in these weird times, you can even kind of print out a 3D heart which actually functions like a normal heart. It's weird. It's not supposed to be for us. We are made to have an end. Eventually, we're not made to live forever, and to live forever is also an illusion, you know. To live forever, in my case, is an illusion. Especially when it comes to flesh, the body we inhabit. It is not forever, and we cannot keep it forever. We cannot not keep it young. We cannot keep it as healthy as we think we can keep it. The older we become, the closer we are kind of getting closer to death. And that's it. Having a death is not an illusion, but the way things are being propagated are often an illusion. Coming back to China and the virus, COVID-19. Well, China said for many months that COVID-19 has left China. But via I have heard they're actually in the fourth wave right now. So think about the illusions, think about the lies. This is what I'm talking about. WHO. Remember them? They were kicked out by President Trump when he was still at power. They wanted to go to China. Just a couple of days ago, I heard, or I read in official news, that China denied WHO. For what reason? Are they hiding something? I believe they do, because it is the fourth wave. They are hiding. The Chinese are completely lying about it, all this stuff. And this fourth wave is worse than ever in China. But I remember one more thing also. There was this count of deaths counted in China. And still they ordered or bought thousands or to millions of Earths that were way above the amount of people that died. Did they know something what was going on? I think they do, but they were hiding it. It's this fourth wave, or maybe it's other kind of things. So keep that in consideration, keep it in mind.